Another Pushing Film live stream. I'm Hashem. Thanks for joining me today. This is just one of these impromptu update streams just to catch up with you all, just talk about a few things that have been going on. So thanks if you're here with me live, and also if you're just watching this back later on. I've got a few things I just wanted to sort of get through first before engaging a bit more with the live chat. And the first one of those is that there's a few days left for the giveaway that I'm doing on the Canonet QL17. If you're here in Australia, you probably know about this. It's a giveaway I'm doing in collaboration with Beginning Film, who have sponsored with this brick of Kodak Color Plus 200. So that is all on the Instagram page if you want to check out the details of that giveaway, how it works. Again, Australian residents only, and that is in this post here on the Pushing Film Instagram page. You follow the instructions there. And yeah, it's going until the end of the month, so 30th of November in local time. Then I'll cut off entries and draw the winner or winners live in the following days. So next thing I wanted to talk about in my little list here is I want your suggestions to anything really to do with content on the channel, and I'm always open to anything that you can suggest in terms of what you would like to see more of on the channel, and any particular topics, because I know I get a lot of suggestions through the comments, but it's really hard to kind of collate them all and keep track of what people want to see. So one of the best ways is maybe just drop a comment in this video, or even better, go onto the Pushing Film Discord server. If you're not a member there, I've got a link to that in the description of the video. You can join there, and I've got a channel within the Discord server, which is called, it's just for videos. So it's my, in the Pushing Film category, there's one where it automatically posts new videos I've put up on the channel. But you can always chat into this channel and leave suggestions and things you'd like to see more of, or anyway, really, you can just privately message me there. But yeah, I want to hear what you would like to see more of, whether it's in terms of educational content or guides, or more stuff to do with scanning, or more vlogs or interviews, which I am planning to do more of. So yeah, let me know what you would like to see more of on the channel and otherwise. Next thing I want to touch on is just some of the latest content on the channel that I've been putting out. And you may have noticed that I just put out a video this morning or last night, depending where you are in terms of time zones. And that was about 8 ways to save money on film photography. So you can see that here. It's the latest video uploaded to the channel. And I just share some tips about ways to save money on film photography. It's not everything, obviously. A lot of people may comment with more tips, which is great. But these are just 8 things I could think of that might be helpful to you if you're kind of encountering the rising prices lately of shooting film. And if you're wondering why I'm always wearing hats in these videos, or not always, but a lot of time, it's because it's not because I'm trying to look cool. It's just because of the hair. It's a bit out of control, and that's why I'm not doing it just to kind of look like a film hipster, even though I probably do. That is the main reason I'm often wearing these hats during my videos. But yeah, check that out. And let me just check a few of the live chat comments. I got a few people here already. Hayden, thanks for joining. Candid portraits. Okay, so in terms of suggestions, yeah. I'm not the greatest at candid portraits, but I am trying to get better at that. Top of the it's time to go home and have a beer. Polaroid back for medium format. Oh yeah, I don't have one of those, but I do know of people who use them and have even offered to let me borrow their system, including the Zinstax one for the Mamiya RB. That would be pretty cool. I'm actually thinking about doing something on that. And Sans Klaus, I would like to be introduced to new photographers. Great to see the work of artists we might not know. Yeah, that's something I actually really started to get into and enjoy doing. Even though it can be a lot of work, I really enjoy exposing new other people and film photographers and otherwise in the form of interviews. And you may have actually seen a few of them on the channel until about 2020, when everything kind of made it difficult to actually come into people's houses and whatever and do interviews like that. But now that things are opening up again here in Melbourne, you know, it's been a very locked down couple of years we've had. I actually have some interviews lined up and ideas for people who both shoot film in terms of stills, and even an idea I have for someone who is getting into shooting 16mm motion picture stuff. And yeah, I'm always open to your suggestions too. If you have anyone that you know of, especially if they're based here in Australia, because then I can do the in-person style interview, let me know. And I have a few on my list already, but I'm always open to your suggestions on who you would like to see interviewed. But yeah, if you look back on the channel, I've interviewed people like JM Tabera and M Jensen, local Melbourne photographers, and I'm looking forward to doing more. All right, so the next thing I had on the list, and it's in relation to what I just talked about in the latest video, which is about saving money and rising costs. And because it's Black Friday weekend, I have been putting up little updates on my blog about some of the best film photography related deals and sales and discounts that I've been finding on the internet. And you can check that out here. There's a link to this in the description as well. Sorry, not this one. But if you go onto the blog, there is a link. It's called the Black Friday 2021 Deals for Film Photographers. And it's a growing list. So there's been some pretty cool stuff. Shoot Film Co. has a bunch of discounts on hoodies and accessories. And these really make good Christmas gifts, by the way, if you're looking for things for fellow photographers that you know, like badges and patches. And yeah, Mike Padua from Shoot Film Co. makes some of the best merchandise, I think, in terms of film photography related stuff. So that's a really good one. And this one just got updated. It was the discount on the essential film holder, which is down to £60 shipped worldwide, which is amazing. I think the fact that it includes shipping. A lot of the time, if you're in a country like Australia down here, you pay maybe 20% of the cost of an item like this for shipping, but this actually includes shipping. So it's a really good discount. He hasn't ever discounted it before. So I have a link to that. And also you can just head on to this guide if you want to see more. And also in relation to that, this is a rare discount for Negative Lab Pro as well, which is $10 off. He's only probably done this a few times and it's never been more than about $10, but that's still pretty good if you've been on the fence about getting NLP or you've only ever done the trial. It's great software. You know, I talk about it all the time, and this will only be running for the Black Friday weekend as far as I can see, but that's included in my article. And yeah, I think in relation to these two things, this is probably a better time than any if you've been on the fence about getting into home film scanning. If you already have a digital camera, for example, saving a little bit on the accessories like the EFH and the software like NLP can really make that cost of entry a little bit lower. So Chigaiva in the comments, hey man, thanks for joining. Albert, thanks guys. Yeah, so that's a bunch of good deals on that page, and there's a lot more. And like, just to highlight some of the things that you tap and die, these are great leather camera straps. KEH just dropped their Black Friday discount, 10% off. Also Analog Wonderland is doing a pretty good little promotion where it's a lucky dip free item, and they also are giving a bunch of discounts on selected items. Film Never Die, based here in Australia. Camera Store, which has a huge range of products on secondhand film cameras and otherwise. Lomography. Yeah, so the list is growing, and I'll add a few more if they pop up today, but that's been the majority that I've found so far. Cool. Let's see what we've got. I am the best deal for Black Friday. Oh yeah, nice typo there. But yeah, that's my zine, which I have also linked in the description if anyone is interested. I do still have copies of my zine, which is the sun-dried strip, and that is going to be one of the additional prizes that comes as part of the giveaway, by the way. Whether you win the camera or the brick of Color Plus, that is going to be included. So yeah, a few days left for that. And if you are interested in the zine, you can check that out on my website, which you've already got links to. You just have to go back to the store section, and then you can find that product there. So what's everyone been up to? What have you been shooting? What's been happening? Let me know. I'm keen to just sort of sit around for a bit and catch up with you guys. YouTube creatives. NLP's worth it? Yeah, definitely. If you think about the amount of money most people spend on developing and scanning film, like you can scan I don't know, depends where you are. It could be 5 rolls of film. You've already paid for NLP, which does an amazing job. And I just did a live stream recently showing how easy it was to convert an entire roll of Kodak Vision 500T. And any deals for Metropolis? I didn't see that on the Lomography website when I browsed through, but there might have been. They actually did have a deal on what they call, it's like a mystery film where you either get Metropolis or Lomo Purple. So the packaging has kind of like a division in half with the labels for both films. So it's a lucky dip between the two. I don't know if it's 120 and 35mm, but that was pretty cool. And that was on sale at Lomo. So you can check that out if you want to try Metropolis. Manuel, hi from Spain. Hey, thanks for joining. And testing my purchase of 400 feet of Vision 3 250D. Nice. Yeah, I'm actually interested to know how you break that down into smaller, I'm assuming 100-foot rolls so that you can then bulk load into 35mm cassettes. A bit of a technical thing, but I've always wondered how people manage that. You probably need a dark space or tent or room, ideally, and a good bit of dexterity. But I've only ever bought the 100-foot rolls of Kodak Vision. Just working, not shooting much. Wanted to get out yesterday, but the weather and light was dreadful. It was pretty bad here. Yeah, really bad. Sorry about the typo. I'll forgive you. It's all right. Finally managed to get out of Melbourne and make some coastal photos on transparency film. That sounds good. Where'd you go to? I'm actually thinking most likely going to be going camping for the weekend, get away from the city for a little bit, because it's been ages since before the last lockdowns that Sarah and I went camping. So looking forward to that. Anyone else buy more cameras than they have time to shoot? I'm guilty of that. I'm actually thinking of, because I spoke about this in my last video about saving money, and one of the tips I gave was to consolidate your gear and look at what you're using, what you're not using. And I just kind of looked at my shelf and thought about some things I could sell. To me, it's just the trouble of actually putting it up for sale. I don't really enjoy the process of like advertising the items and dealing with all the inquiries and then facilitating the sale. I know it's not a big deal, but yeah, that's my main barrier at the moment. Looking for film for my Kodak VPK. Basically, I have been working or surviving the floods here in southwest British Columbia. Sorry to hear about that. Hope it's all right. Recently got into film and your videos have helped so much. Wanted to ask about tips for night film photography, like what film you find is good in settings. What that really depends on, I think, is if you're willing to use a tripod or not. If you are willing to use a tripod and you're doing slower exposures, that means you're going to have, movement be either blurred or disappear. Then you can use almost any film. But if you're planning on shooting handheld, that's where it really starts to matter what kind of lens you use. For example, you need a fast lens, you need steady hands, you need a faster film ideally. But I do have a video on the channel where I shot some 500T at nighttime. I will consider doing more content on that, on more of the technical side to shooting film at night, some guidelines. But yeah, it is fun to shoot at night. So you approximate the length in the darkroom and roll onto an old bulk roll spool. So you do it manually by hand, I assume. I thought there would be some kind of machine to roll down from the 400 feet down to 100 foot. So you can kind of reel it. But I guess if you do it by hand, you just have to spend a bit of time. But yeah, I mean, you'd save a lot of money that way. You end up paying probably like $5 a roll if you buy 400 foot. Yeah, all right. One other thing I was going to mention on the topic of books, there is something I wanted to share, the latest book that I bought. And if anyone here is familiar with Helmut Newton, let me know in the comments. And also if you're familiar with Alice Springs, who was the wife of Helmut Newton. I haven't had a proper look at this, and I had no knowledge at all. I just bought this book because it was a bargain, which I'll share with you if you guys are in the market. But yeah, it has some nice black and white photography, and I think there's a bit of color as well. A lot of portraiture that she shot either of these sort of celebrities or of Helmut Newton in the studio working, stuff like that. But this book was only about $15. So if anyone in Australia is interested, I got it through Booktopia, $15.75 down from $85. You know I'm big on sharing bargains, so this is a good one. And so June Newton was her real name. I think Alice Springs was some kind of alias. But the book is called The Paris MEP Show. It's 81% off, $15.75. It has some great content. And yeah, it's an Australian photographer. I think she's originally from Melbourne. So yeah, the pseudonym was Alice Springs. And here it says, began as a commercial photographer shooting advertisements for French and international fashion magazines before exploring portraiture and celebrity via the high life in Hollywood and low life of the LA punk scene during the 1980s. So if that sounds interesting to you, this is a pretty good bargain. I don't know if they ship overseas, so this is more for Aussie buyers, but you know, you might find this overseas as well. I just thought I'd share that with you. But once I have a proper look at this book, I'll consider doing a live stream on it or something. Okay, so you're rolling by hand. What do I think of Agfa 100 ISO? Is that the Agfa Optima? I have shot that before, and it's a nice film. It's quite punchy and saturated. And yeah, I think the pseudonym was based on the Alice Springs location in Australia. Yeah. Everyone knows Helmut Newton. See, I'm not a huge fan of Helmut Newton as a photographer. Like, he's very talented. It's just that style isn't really kind of up my alley, so I don't tend to ever look to buy his books, for example. But I have heard a lot when I worked in the camera store based here in Melbourne, because he had a history here in Australia and in Melbourne. I would get customers in their older age come in and, for example, tell me stories of how they either modeled for Helmut Newton or knew him or something like that. And I never really engaged too much because I didn't have much of a knowledge of Helmut Newton, or again, I'm not the biggest fan of that style of portraiture, but I know that he has a big following. And Asher is a huge fan of him. Cool. Recently got his book from Taschen. I know, is that how you pronounce it? The publishing company. I have a few books from them as well, but as well as his book of Polaroids. Cool. Didn't know about Alice Spring. Yeah, I know. So like, I thought I would share that. Hey, thanks for joining. Helmut's James Bogues ads were killer. See, I didn't know he did ads. Yeah. The black and white film, I mean Agfa. Okay. I haven't tried any Agfa 100 speed black and white films. Do you have any plans for Discord? It may just be me, but it feels there's a lot of untapped potential. Yeah, I actually completely agree with you. There is a lot of untapped potential, and sometimes I look at other Discord servers and look at how much more engagement they have and how better structured they are. The problem I have is dividing my time into improving the server, and I have noted lately that it does need work and it could do with extra engagement. It's just not my strong point. I'm thinking of maybe commissioning this onto someone else, like having an admin come on and really rework the server and try and improve it in whatever way. It's just not my area of expertise. I love the idea and the fact that it is building this community and it is approaching 1,000 members. I just know that it has a lot of untapped potential, like you're saying. And if you have any particular points, yeah, I think it's just something I need to delegate on someone else who has a strong point of running Discord servers or doing things like that, because I agree with what you're saying. But yeah, that could be something for the future. And Jay McElhenney, am I saying that right? Hey, from Texas. Finally found a copy of Valparaiso. Yeah, nice. That's a beautiful book. Looking forward to its arrival. Thanks for the recommendation. I'm loving Sergio Larraín. Awesome. That is my favorite photographer. If you guys know anything about, me and the books and photographers that I like. So that particular book of his is, I think, his strongest single publication book. There is the self-titled Sergio Larraín book that has all of his stuff on it, and that I actually have that on the shelf behind me. I finally got a copy of that as well, but I love the Valparaiso stuff. And Malaysian Railways. Hi, during the transfer process from the camera to the developing tank, should I do it in light or in the dark? So from the camera to the developing tank, in the dark. Yeah, absolutely. You need to do that in the dark. So if you're shooting 35mm, you can rewind the film into the canister so that you can at least take it out of the camera before then going into the dark to put it in your tank. But I would say look up some videos and tutorials on how to develop film if you're new to it, and make sure you're very familiar with the why and the how of the whole process. Stephen, Pam, old. I don't know. I think I missed the reference for that. Thank you. Can you try the new Agfa and give us your thoughts about this film? Okay, I might if I if I ever get the chance. I'm still not sure. I think Agfa 100. I'm just gonna like look this up while I have you, because I know that Agfa's black and white films are often re-rolled into other brands, like maybe Rolly, which I have shot, the Rolly RPX 100. So it could be the same as that, in which case I have shot it. So Agfa APX. Okay, yeah, I think I have shot that film actually, but maybe it was the 400 version. But yeah, if I ever shoot that down the track, I'll be happy to do some content on it. And cheers, thank you for the answer. Don't sweat it though, your content is ace, that's what matters. Yeah, no worries, Clem. That is something that I have been thinking about lately with the Discord server, because yeah, it's just, again, I sometimes try and think about it and I'm just not the greatest at that. And I acknowledge that I'm definitely better at doing the YouTube videos, for example, than I am at running a server. So while we are on books, I would recommend something from Zupa Graphica. Central/Eastern Europe and Soviet stuff. Very moody pics. Not for everyone's taste though. Okay. Have I ever used a Jobo processor? No, I haven't personally. I've only ever used Patterson tanks. I recently got my hands on one of the larger tanks, so it fits like, I don't know, 4 or 5 rolls depending on which format. But I haven't actually used that yet. I usually just do 2 at a time or 1 roll at a time. But yeah, I guess if you shoot a lot, a Jobo would be handy. Or if you're just really lazy, you just want to leave it and go. I've only ever seen them used in labs, to be honest. Never known anyone personally to have one at home. Haven't got any photo books lately, however, have got some for alternative printing methods. That's cool. Yeah. Do you ever cross-process your film, either slide into C41 or negative in E6? I have done colored, slide as C41, so E6 film, slide film, processed it as C41. And I've developed color C41 film as black and white maybe once. I can't remember why, but that's all. Yeah. And on the topic of this book, if anyone is based here, Booktopia often does these sales. So if you're like me, you can check these sites every now and then just to see what sales are happening. And it's a great way to save yourself a lot of money and buy books that you otherwise wouldn't have, because having a habit like photo books, it can get costly. But if you look at my collection, for example, almost all of it I've bought during some kind of sale or discount. And that's the beauty of online shopping, even physical stores. I have books that I bought from physical stores that were half price, for example. I just browse their websites, and sometimes I just do a click and collect or something like that. And you can save a lot of money. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be able to justify buying all the books that I do. But when you look at things like that Alice Springs book for $15, I've bought about 5 to 10 books through places like Booktopia, where the discounts were upwards of 75, 80%, and some really good ones that I've gotten through there. You just have to constantly check or come in at the right time. I have Jobo leaks at the end of the development process, but otherwise been okay. Yeah. Favorite film stock? For color, that would be Kodak Ektar. For black and white, it's always mixed. It really depends. I like HP5 and Tri-X, but for color, Ektar is my favorite. And Tamer Prime, what do you think of Canon 1N? Well, I kind of thought about buying it because I have some EF lenses that can fit the 1N. Yeah, it's a great camera. Although the Canon 1 series is a bit bulky, if you don't mind that. I have an EOS 3. which I use for EF lens shooting. And if you picture that, the 1N I think is a little bit bigger, or the 1V, all the variants of that. But these are a great camera. I've done a video on this as well where I called it the Canon photographer's film camera. So it's really good if you already shoot Canon digital, you have a bunch of lenses and you want to use a body, you know, to shoot film with those same lenses. All of these EF mount Canon cameras are actually really underrated, I think, and they have a lot of great features. You can sync them quite easily with different flashes and a lot of functionality. So I definitely recommend them. Get it? I'm using EOS 5. Yeah, also a good camera. Been getting some good deals on World of Books. Okay, have I checked that site before? I'm not sure. World of Books. That might be one of the international ones. Okay, yeah, I see. Right. I've never used this site before, but it's a good tip. So this is based in the UK by the looks of it. They might even be part of Book Depository. I'm not sure, but a lot of the UK online bookstores are actually owned by Book Depository. I think they got bought out. But I do sometimes use Book Depository as well. And thanks for the tip on that one. But yeah, anyone else who isn't familiar, this is the site I just bought up, World of Books. Nice, thanks for joining. So Sounds Klaus, I bought Zach Park's book. I think I saw that shared on his Instagram. I'm pretty sure I'll follow him on Instagram. It's pretty good, and I appreciate it more because he shared some of the stories about making those images. Yeah, that's always nice to see. Yeah. Agfa Ultra 100, I think you would like that film. Okay. So that's different than the APX, I'm guessing. Just looking that up now. Oh, Agfa Ultra, the color, the old expired color film. Yeah, I've shot Agfa Ultra 50. But again, the naming convention, I don't know if there's an Ultra black and white and an Ultra color. The Ultra I'm seeing is color. And I have shot the 50 speed version. I've got a video on that pretty recently on the channel if you want to check out my results. And Malaysian Railways. Secondly, I have used the Panasonic C-D53 35AF, and it doesn't advance to the first frame. Tried this many times. So it looks like it's an electronic camera that's having trouble loading the film. This is quite a common problem that comes up on older electronic point and shoot cameras or even SLRs. A lot of times you can try the trick of dragging out a little bit more of the film leader and then closing the door and trying again, or even retracting a little bit, playing around. Don't always follow the guide to where it says film tip. Sometimes you need to go a little bit further or back off a little bit, and it might just suddenly load. Otherwise, it's probably just an issue with the loading mechanism, which I'm not sure how easily that could be fixed. Cool, guys. I think I might end this one soon. I just wanted to share those few things with you that I touched on in the beginning. The few days left on the giveaway, the suggestions. Thank you for anyone who did make the suggestions, especially about things like the Discord server. That has been on my list. I just need to find the right way to kind of solve that problem. The latest content on the channel. So there's been a lot of talk about discounts and saving money this week because it is Good Friday and people are Christmas shopping and all that. So check out my content on that if you're interested. And just the book that I shared before. So I think that's everything I had. I'll just check a few last comments. Did you remove the remjet layer before you developed your bulk roll of film? Yes, I did. I just filled the Patterson tank with the 39 or whatever degrees water that you're working with. Tablespoon or two of bicarb soda. I don't even measure. I just put in a bit of bicarb soda and then I let that sit for a bit, agitate it a couple of times, drain that out, and just repeat that whole process a couple of times. And then eventually use just water only, and you'll find that the water runs clear after about 3 or 4 rinses. And that's it. I just develop as normal. But when I finish developing the film and I'm at the washing stage, I just give the film a bit of a wipe just to remove any residual remjet. Sometimes the bits near the reels will retain a bit of remjet layer on the edges. And it's just good to make sure you don't end up having any little spots. A lot of the times you don't need to, but I just try and wipe the film off while I'm washing it, because it's getting washed for a few minutes at the end of the C41 process anyway, and then I stabilize and hang it to dry, and I get nice and clean results. Tri-X or T-Max? Tri-X. I like the grain of Tri-X. T-Max is really beautiful as well if you want a clean look, but I do like Tri-X if I had to choose. Zach, any advice for someone who has been in a creative slump for all of 2021? How do you get inspired after taking a break? Yeah, that's a tough one, because I think a lot of us have experienced that with the lockdowns and things like that. And even though I don't have a simple answer to that, generally for me, it's where something just sparks that creativity and you can't force it. I think the more you try and force it, it doesn't really work. So sometimes it means taking a step back and doing something else, something completely different, whether it's just going out and enjoying nature or following a different hobby, or and putting your time back into work or study or whatever, and then something will come along and inspire that. And what it often is for me is, I might watch a movie or look at a photo book or 2 or 3 or whatever, and then something within that other person's work might inspire me to think of ideas for myself, not necessarily copying, but it could just inspire a thought, whether it's just a scene in a movie or something like that. So yeah, try and immerse yourself in something different, I find, and then that could spark that little bit of creativity. Sometimes, I could just be watching a YouTube video of someone doing a street photography vlog, and that inspires me to want to shoot street in maybe a completely different location. But for me, that's my creative outlet when it comes to photography, is something like street photography. And put too much slack of film with the loading thing. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that camera, and if it's not loading, it could be a number of problems, so I'm not sure what it could be. Whereabouts in Australia are you based? I'm in Melbourne. And you got to force yourself. Yeah. See, I know that some people do that. They just force themselves. That doesn't work for me, but I know that some people just have to force themselves and just start. Sometimes that could work, where you're not inspired, but you just go and do it anyway. And there is merit to that. I think that can work. If you know that, for example, let's say you like to shoot landscapes, you're just not inspired, just go out anyway. Sometimes you can't be bothered, but you just take your camera, you drive out to wherever it is, whether it's day, night, wherever, and then you just start shooting, and that just starts it up. It's like a jump start. So you can always try that. And that's a good comment someone made, is maybe you can force yourself into it. Been a tough year for me too. Yeah, a lot of people. Have you ever going to touch on simple camera repair maintenance in some of your videos? I actually have had that on my list for a while, for a long time, but the thing I have is I wouldn't want to do the video without at least having good enough knowledge to know that I'm giving good advice. I've seen other people do videos on like how to fix a film camera, and it's quite generic and sometimes misguided to the point where I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do. And also there already are videos that are really kind of broad and generic like that. And on the other hand, you have people that are complete experts that do videos specifically on fixing a particular camera or a particular issue, which are really helpful. And they're the kind of ones that I find to be more useful. So doing a broad video on maintenance and tips, I would want to approach that the right way, and I just haven't thought of how to do that yet. But simple camera repair and maintenance, that's a good way of putting it, because it's not fixing particular problems, and it's just hard to cover, because there's a lot of things that happen with film cameras that can be done, and there's a lot of variation between cameras. So I would want to have the knowledge and experience to do that right. And that's what I am struggling with at the moment in order to find the right way to do that kind of video, because it's a good topic. It's definitely something that could help a lot of people. So yeah, thanks for the reminder, if anything. Love this channel. Good night all. Thanks for joining. And Ink Fast, I feel you, Zach. I did my first photo shoot in years and it was hard. Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes you need to just, what's the term? Is just like you're feeling rusty and you need to kind of like get back in the zone, so to speak. And oftentimes that means just going out and just doing it again, even if you're not motivated. It's kind of like, exercising or something. You don't feel energy, you don't feel motivation, you just do it anyway. And after a few times, you start to go onto a roll and brush that rust off, so to speak. And just the last question from Malaysian Railways. Here's a question: should you shoot with expired film or unexpired ones? I like to mainly shoot fresh film, but also just to mix in expired rolls every now and then. I don't go out of my way to buy expired film, but I do often, you know, have it given or sent to me, or I will buy expired rolls from online stores like Decisive Moment. Like the last thing I bought was Fuji Superior 100, which is a really nice film, and it was only a few years expired, and it's still giving me great results with the rolls I have shot. So if you don't mind the small risk that comes with shooting expired film, especially if you don't know how it was stored, go for it. It's great. I do like to still support the film industry by buying some new and fresh film, at least some of the time. But I think buying expired film is a great way to save money. I didn't include that in my tips in the video because I think most people know about that already. But yeah, what else can I say about that? Expired film. Yeah, like I've had mixed results, to be honest. I've had, for example, some expired films that were sent to me and then I shot it and, or I bought some expired film, for example, from someone in the UK and it was quite expired. And even though it said it was cold stored, the results were a bit underwhelming, especially in terms of shadow detail. But then I've had expired film that was given to me and it was even more expired, like the Agfa Optima, and it gave me great results. I overexposed it almost too much. I didn't really need it. So it really depends. And when it comes to doing paid work, for example, or important work, you want that sense of reliability that you can't always get with expired film, but you can try. And I've even had rolls that had little spots all over them. Like I had some expired Portra 400 and it had little spots from either mold or age or heat damage, which was a real bummer because I had some nice shots on that. And yeah, I'm kind of in between. I mostly shoot fresh film unless it's expired during my ownership. I have a lot of film in the fridge and in fact most of it probably is a couple of years expired, but I don't consider that expired. I just, it's cold stored. So yeah, if it's expired like 2019, 18 and I've had it since close to that date, I don't mind that. But buying very expired film is something I don't do very often. So that's my my take on that. And it sounds similar to what I just said there. Daniel, perfect timing for you to stream for once. Whatever, Daniel. We can't all cater to your timings. I'm just kidding, man. I'll personally message you next time and let you know when I'm streaming. Yeah, you guys have kind of missed a lot of it, but it's all right. This was just a casual one. I'll probably leave it online if you want to go back and check what you missed. That way you can actually watch it in like 2 times speed if you want. Daniel, getting some sleeving done. How are you? I'm good, man. Yeah, the weather's been a bit crappy. I was just talking to other Melbourneites, Melbourne people. What do we call ourselves? Melburnians. And talking about how at least the weather's getting a bit better. I'm looking forward to going out and shooting a little bit more over the weekend. Maybe go camping. And Michaela, hey, thanks for joining again. Zach, thank you for the advice. Thank you all. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad that we had that little discussion there about the camera issues and the developing and the books and stuff. Yeah, this was a good one. Unity, I pretty much shoot expired film exclusively. Yeah, some people do that. And that's all the better if you're happy doing that. And I end up cold storing for so long that it's expired. Yeah, cool. And final question, should I wait another year to develop my film? If you have the patience, yeah, keep it in the fridge if you're going to wait a year before processing it. But you might get slightly better results if you process it soon after shooting, depending which stock it is. But yeah, there's no harm. Like I've had film that's sat in a box since I was a teenager for about 15 years before I developed it, and it still came out fine. That was C41 black and white stock. So yeah. All right, guys, this one's gone pretty long, so I think I'm going to end it in a bit. And Daniel just saying, I'm about to spend $300 on expired film. Yeah, I mean, you might save a lot of money. And if you know how well it's been stored, just keep that in mind. Do test one of the rolls first too before you shoot the rest if you can. And sorry, I keep getting a few last chats and I want to answer these. Are there any AF cameras you want to try that you don't own right now? Autofocus cameras that I wanted to try? Not really. I'm not a big autofocus person, but maybe the Contax 645. If I had, does that even have autofocus? I don't know if I would use it if it had it. I'm pretty sure it does, but that is one camera that I'd love to use for a bit. And describe Vivian Maier in one word: enigmatic. I hope that's not in a negative sense, but yeah. All right, guys, I think I'll leave things there. Thanks for joining me today if you were here live or if you just watched this back. Yeah, Thanks again for all the support, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.